Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ed Show. This is episode 5, where we are going to talk about Damascus. And the very short knowledge that I have, but it is valuable to teach people that are just starting off in this game. That's what we're going to talk about because I've had nightmares with Damascus, and I could save somebody that's a hobbyist, just wants to try it out, make a cool looking knife, whatever, with some stuff that you need to know. Okay, so with that, welcome to the Ed Show, where we talk all things blades. If you are somebody that appreciates high quality blades, someone that uses blades on the regular, someone that lives by the blade, and someone like myself that makes beautiful, sharp objects, a bladesmith, a knife maker, welcome to the Ed Show, where again we talk all things blades and not cats. I say that often, even though, a cat's claw is very sharp. Anyways, I digress. If you guys missed last week's episode with Matt Phelps, super phenomenal. We did a Facebook Live, so sorry, YouTube, you didn't get to see it, but you can go to my Facebook page. It's there. It was about a 45-minute long interview. I shared a lot of his work. He is a phenomenal maker. He's done and does bladesmithing and stock removal, mostly does stock removal with the material that he works with, which is some very high quality Damascus, and that's why he might even jump in the comments here on Facebook, even though this is on YouTube. So this is the hint: go to the Facebook. But anyways, let's jump in to the thing. But he might jump in and give some more advice than I have. He's been making knives for 5 years, and for the long and short of it, it sounds like he's been doing mostly Damascus. So I'm jumping into the game as of a year ago, and this was my first thing that I actually forged out of a billet that I'm learning. There are Damascus billets you can forge with, and there are Damascus billets you have to do stock removal, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. But here's the long and short of it for the beginner. If you know a guy that makes Damascus or is wanting to, ask them to buy their scraps or ask them to work with you in marketing to help get their name known. If they're just starting off and they're making some solid stuff, they don't have a lot of delaminations and so on and so forth, that is your best avenue, because I'm going to tell you this: there is a difference in quality. We've been talking about quality in the price. Okay, I'm going to give some real examples here, as I just showed you, of some really bad Damascus billets that I can't get refunded. My customer thankfully got refunded because we made a deal of he buys the Damascus, I'll make him the knives. When I got the billets, 4 out of 4 were failures. $480 in Damascus. I'm going to talk about that here in a second, but the reality is this: what you invest in Damascus is what you're going to get out of it. But why I suggested, if you're just going to start messing with the stuff, buying the cheap end, what I'm going to talk about here, because if you mess up, it's not a $265 minimum billet that you cannot use anymore, because you didn't soak it enough, you didn't you hammered too hard because you're just learning how to use the hammer and anvil. It's buy scraps. If you can, find somebody that will sell them to you, because if you mess up on those, it's $65, just as an example, I don't know a price, versus $265 on quality Damascus. Or you can practice with the cheap stuff. But we're going to get into that here in a second. With what you will pay for is what you get out of it, though. Okay, so in this past year, I bought some Damascus, and my customer bought some Damascus. So this guy was forged out of a piece of billet that I don't think was actually forgeable, but lo and behold, it actually held together. And here's the thing, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. As much as I was super mad at the seller for lying about this is American-made Damascus when it was actually made in Pakistan, the American Damascus that my customer got doesn't have the issues that they do. And I feel sick saying it, because I'm all about American trade. I'm all about American made. And nope, what was made in Pakistan, and it was better than the American made. So the only thing I have on this thing is a slight split here, because I opened that finger choil or that finger's oil. Gosh darn it, I can't think of what it is right now, but basically it's a canvas style. This is your finger loop right here, groove, whatever, and I opened it up on the horn. So cause a lot of stress for a very thin piece of steel. I mean, the steel is probably about that. It's about 1/8, maybe a little bit more. And so 125 thousandths. But anyways, not forgeable Damascus billet, but I did forge something out of it. Now here's the thing. This has seen fire. This has seen my anvil. This has seen my hammers. This has seen a little bit of a grinder. And I have not heat treated this yet. I'm tempted to, because I'm probably just going to make this for myself and start practicing on some designs that I want to do with finishing of Damascus. But here's the thing. Here's what my customer ordered. Again, $480 in steel. I'm not going to say where he got it from, but I'm going to say where the company that he got it from gets it from, if that makes sense, which is Alabama Damascus. And it makes me sick to my stomach to say this. And if somebody that works there sees this, hears this, all I'm going to say is this: step your game up, because my dad talks about you guys so much, and that's where he got his steel. That's what he made his Damascus blades out of, and it just took a turn over the last 10 years I'm reading about. It needs to come back, because for beginners, for hobbyists or whatever, that's a great place to go to. But now I cannot say that I would justify spending my own money on a project for myself or a customer. And I'm going to show you why. These are out of 4 billets, okay? This was a stock removal order because I didn't want to forge anything with how thin this was. I was just going to heat treat it and stuff myself. Actually, I think I was going to pay to get it heat treated, but there's delaminations and cracks all the way through this thing. And where you really see it, you can see that right there, that rust. That's a crack that goes all the way through and wraps around the other side. This was 1 billet. I had 9 knives to make. I'm actually working on them right now. So you're about to see the cleaver. This is the cleaver that I just forged out for my customer. Not Damascus, which he's okay with, but that's a cleaver that I'm actually almost all 9 knives are in the finishing phases. I'm ready for finish and assembly and sharpening. Anyways, this one was another billet. Hopefully you can see it on camera there. Yeah. Okay. So right here is actually a crack that goes all the way through, and this was not heat treated. None of these were heat treated. This was just cut out of steel. I didn't do any hammering. I didn't even do any bevel work on these on the grinder. Just saw a bunch of delamentations and cracks. Like down here is probably one of the worst ones. Okay. So, and then we got the cleaver. Okay, this one is not as bad. It's probably grindable, but right here on the back of the spine, it is not. There's a crack that goes right there, and I don't know if that's a surface or whatever. So here is the long and short of this message in this video. Like I said before I started showing you all these knives and stuff, you're gonna get. Actually, no. I'm gonna quote Matt Phelps, my buddy here, on last week's show. The steel is only as good as the smith is. That's number 1. Okay, not every single heat treat is the same for every steel, so you have to pay attention to how you're doing things. But if you get crappy steel, you're going to get crappy results, and that all comes to the steel is only as good as the smith is. And if the smith does not know what they're doing, or they don't care about quality steel that they're investing in, you're not going to get quality product. You're going to get stuff like this. Did my customer know this? No. Did I know this? No. But now seeing that quality Damascus billets, especially in this day and age because everything is so high, but the quality is standard is $200 plus odd for a single billet. But what I've seen come out of those is worth it. Go look at Matt Phelps' work, and it speaks for itself. Bulldog Damascus, shout out to them. They're not sponsoring this or anything, but that's probably where I'm going to start getting my Damascus from. That's where Matt Phelps gets his from. It's all about networking here, guys. So if you're a beginner, sure, start with the cheap stuff. Okay, don't be afraid. Let me just show this in ending here. Okay, this was out of the same piece of these. These are shards. Actually, no, sorry. This was actually out of this billet. So I'm going to heat treat this one. This is going to be a fishing knife. This, though, was a shard. I quenched that one, and you can see that crack right through the center. Okay? I practiced on a piece just ahead of time because I didn't see any cracks in it, and it blew apart as soon as I took it out. I saw it completely just bend over to one side, so it was completely delamination. And then I broke another spot, and it just blew in 3 pieces. Okay? That was not a cheap piece of Damascus. That was around $100 some odd, but if you go to like Bulldog Damascus or something like that, spend an extra $75, you have a quality piece. However, but again, practice on the cheap stuff before you go to high quality stuff if you're really wanting to make some good quality knives. Okay, if you win the lotto and like hopefully on this one, if I can cut this off and I can actually do something with it, awesome. But if not, whatever. Anyways, guys, that's the video for the week. Is when it comes to Damascus, you get what you pay for. Okay. So here's what I want to do for shows going forward. Okay, I'm going to end this here. If you guys want to know certain steps like grits, hand sanding, stuff like that, stuff about knife making, we can make that one of the subjects. If not, I'm going to keep putting a list out for people to choose. But if not, guys, we'll see you next week. God bless. Keep your edges sharp. And yeah, we'll see you next week.